I'd like to welcome Jan Sloves, who has for many decades been a leader in vascular ultrasound, not only in terms of pushing the envelope in terms of teaching, but also in terms of disseminating the usefulness and utility to vascular ultrasound to technologists and practitioners. So can you tell us a little bit how you got into this field?
Yeah, sure. It's so good to be on your show. And Neil, thank you, and Lowell and Victor for the invitation to be part of this program. Yeah, no, I got started. It's over 30 years ago, and I at the time I was introduced to this through a cardiothoracic and vascular surgeon. We actually used to work out together and do powerlifting in those days, and he said that vascular ultrasound was going to take the world by storm and be the biggest thing. It's going to be in the hospital. It's going to be in the office. He was definitely somebody who had a lot of foresight into the future. He was definitely at the top of the game of as to what he was doing at the time. And so he pushed and pushed, and I was kind of thinking of something else. And he said, "Trust me on this. You're going to have a very good career." He goes, "It's going to be cutting edge. It's going to be rapidly changing, from decade to decade, and it's going to be endless where this potentially can go." So that's when I kind of embarked on it.
Tell us a little bit about how you have embarked on it. You've been a leader for many years in terms of vascular ultrasound, and and again in terms of teaching vascular ultrasound hands-on, um, face to face, front to front with patients, and showing people all of the great things that you can do, but also pushing the envelope. Can you describe some of what you've been doing?
Yeah, well, again, for me, I was very fortunate. I grew up in Mount Sinai in the Department of Vascular Surgery in the early 90s, and Harry Shanzer was my mentor and kind of took me to school on this. And as being a young, registered vascular technologist at that point in time, I was very fortunate because not only, was he my mentor, but, he would draw me, right then and there, the surgeries that he would do and say, "This is what you're going to see, and this is what I want." And, I had the ability with him to see patients, sit in grand rounds where everything was discussed, journal club with the vascular fellows at the end of each week. So, I mean, I had this, for the first 3 years, like I lived and breathed this in a way. He even took me into the operating room, and I probably saw close to 300 different operations, at that point in time. So, for me, very fortunate because it built like a foundation as to what this really is. And I think also it wasn't in terms of doing just performing an ultrasound. I got to understand it from the way that you look at it. So the critical thinking that goes into how a vascular surgeon or interventionist looks at this. What do they need specifically from the scan? And we know, like many people get locked into this thought of a protocol, right? And you got to follow that, but it's that, but it's so much more because critical thinking is a big piece. You got to problem solve and put it together and then be able to give it to you in a meaningful way.
I actually agree with you. We used to take our technologists into the operating room or into the interventional suite so they could see what we're doing and have a better understanding and what we're looking for. So I agree with you. I think you get a much better understanding if you actually see the fistula taking place, the carotid endarterectomy, the aneurysm or bypass or whatever, a venous procedure or whatever. If you're actually seeing it hands-on, it actually you really gain a lot of understanding of what the procedure is about and what the interventionalist is looking for. So you've been doing some new stuff in terms of education. Can you talk a little bit about ultrasound and where you're heading? Because while your past has been quite remarkable, where you're heading is also quite notable.
Right. So I started a community. It's called Ultrasound Unlocked, and there's a website, and people find me there also through the LinkedIn platform where I post a lot of things weekly from articles, from tips and tricks about different things, and I put up little case studies and things like that, right? So for me, now looking back at a career of 30 years, right, and forming this community, which means a great deal to me because, again, I look at the students that are coming out of school. I even look at, folks, and I remember myself coming out what this was like in the first 5 and 10 and 15 years of just trying to get that understanding and, kind of just get it together. So what I wanted to do, again, form a community where people can share their knowledge. They'll have exposure to me where they could ask questions. I could help them. And then right now, I've cut a lot of film and presentations. Everything's being edited. So eventually, there'll be different tiers where they'll be able to come in and participate and view things. There'll be like unlock the vault of some very bizarre cases and things, from all over the body. And then there'll be like a lot of how-to instruction, how to do a vein mapping, how to examine a CLTI patient. It's going to be all over the place. So I'm very passionate about this. I want this community to really thrive. And I think that it's needed because what I'm seeing, I do a lot of consulting and I visit a lot of different places here and abroad. And there are gaps in the training as to, the beginning of our conversation that they have, folks have difficulty putting certain things together. And again, everything that we do boils down to patient care. And I think, when you look at the commitment to it, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really all about the patient. And I really feel that you being an RVT or you being a physician and you do the scan, there's a lot of accountability and responsibility that goes into the performance of that because at the end of the day, the treatment plan of some sort is going to come from that. And I want to try to make a difference with that.
Talk a little bit about the education for the modern day vascular technologists because it's tough. It's tough trying to get enough hands-on experience, enough knowledge. And I find a lot of the technologists need a lot of help when they first graduate.
Yeah. So that's a great question. It's a big one in the fact that there are different programs. Some of them are kind of independent. Some of them belong to big colleges, but nonetheless, they get anywhere from 800 to 1,000 to 1,200 clinical hours when they're out there learning. And then, as you know, it's going to be independent as to who did they train with. And are the people that they're training with passionate about, well, first of all, do they know their stuff? Do they have the capabilities of teaching it to them, in a meaningful way and give them things to read and really help them grow to the point that they will be like an independent operator, when they're done. And one of the issues with the schools is, I mean, they certainly don't teach you anything about the iliacs and the whole pelvic piece, and the whole lower extremity reflux and the CLTI, which is a hot topic right now, and we've made some strides in there. So there's a lot, they construct, the minimal level of competency. But what we need when they come out, if we want to hire them, we need more. And time is of the essence to kind of get them up and running. And, so I think that the clinical part from the school should actually be longer because when they first start catching on at the end of, let's say, that 1,000 hours, that's when they actually need a couple of more 100 hours to really kind of, mold the clay, if you know what I mean.
I tend to agree with you, and I think your program may be able to help, quite frankly, get some people over the hump. And I like the fact that you have some direct interaction because by having that, people may have a specific case they're having issues with. That's also really, really helpful. Besides some of the, it sounds like you have some videos in there too, to go over really rare cases that sometimes are really quite interesting and quite useful.
Yeah, well, again, I feel that this community, once we're all in there, then they could ask a question. I'm having an issue with this, I'm having an issue with that, and then I could help them because we could all talk and everybody can see this, whether it's in real time or it's in a chat, where I could help them optimize their circumstance. Maybe it's patient positioning. Maybe it's being able to manipulate the controls of the ultrasound system to really enhance the image quality to see the detail that you, as a vascular surgeon, that you want to see. So, whatever it is, I mean, I kind of been there. I've had a lot of repetition, and, it's exciting because we want to see these people grow. And at the end of the day, as you and I are advancing in our careers, these are the folks that are going to be carrying the torch, you know, as we kind of wind down one day. So it's an important piece.
So much for helping highlight some of the past, present, and future of vascular ultrasound. I do think that it is one of the evolving technologies, as you said, and it's going to play an increasing role because some of the new stuff that I'm seeing coming out from some of the companies looks really, really exciting. But you need to have the technologists to be able to help get the information that you need to, as you said, to take care of these patients.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.